So tell me, why do you love Montessori? Well, first of all, do you love Montessori?
Yeah.
I want to make sure that you do.
Parents, beware. Since your child will be wearing different clothes, you're going to do a lot of washing their clothes.
Hey guys, welcome to Start Young. It's Lynn Panetta here, helping you to raise young entrepreneurs. In today's episode, Jacqui, who is a mindset and alignment coach, and also our regular contributor here on Start Young channel, she's going to share with you the reasons why she's chosen a different kind of school for her children. So although this channel is about raising young entrepreneurs, I really want to share with you along the journey of life, right? It's about education, it's about what schools to choose, it's about health and fitness, it's about everything that would make up a young entrepreneur. So this is an interesting episode here today because she's going to deep dive into the reason why she's put her kids into Montessori, which is a different school to the traditional school, and just learn from her and her own children's experience about what's different about that school compared to the schools that we may have our children in. So let's hear what Jacqui has to say.
I was first introduced to Montessori education initially by a friend of mine from the US, and before that I hadn't heard of this unique education system. It was developed by Dr. Maria Montessori in the early 1900s, who really wanted to emphasize on independence and based on the view that children are naturally capable and eager for learning in a supportive and well-structured learning environment. I was really fascinated by this learning system because it was so different to mainstream education, so different to what I grew up with, and our system really needs to change. And when I saw this, it was wow. So my daughter Grace, who is now 10 years of age, has been with Montessori since she was 18 months old. And now my son, who is 3 years of age, is also now attending the school. What I love about their system is that it is very much a hands-on approach. It is very much a sensorial learning environment, and really is about teaching children how things work by connecting with all their senses rather than rote learning. I remember I had to rote learn when I was young and I just didn't really get it. I found it really difficult. So this system enables them to be able to really understand it. And children at a very young age learn how to be independent. So it's a very much a student-centered environment where the children choose the lessons and activities. The teachers are there acting as a guide. So it really teaches them independent learning at a very young age. It's still structured in a way, right? It's a structured system, and structured in a way where the teacher will explore a topic with them as well and get them to really, really think about it. So there's a real mixture of the teachers guiding them and sharing their knowledge, etc., and the children learning. And every children is unique. So it really caters for this and allows them to work at their own pace. Therefore, building confidence and also encouraging learning environment where children want to learn. And if you want to learn extra and the child wants to excel in that area, they don't stop you. Meanwhile, the kids that might want to take a step down or slow pace, they cater for that too. So the classes are grouped in 3 groups of ages: 0 to 3 years of age, 3 to 6, and then 6 to 9 and 9 to 12 years of age. And it actually goes up to high school as well. This system allows younger children to learn from the other older ones, and the older ones actually learn to become leaders, to guide the younger one. They see how each other learn, and they learn. So if you think about how we work in the real world, why we work with various age groups, we don't just work in the same age group with us. So it really teaches them to interact with various age groups. The children will also have the same teacher for 3 years. So they really get to bond with the teacher. And the teacher gets to really know the student and help them through to develop and improve even more. When I saw that my daughter had wrote a note saying, "I love Maria Montessori because she created Montessori school," I knew that I had chosen the right school for her. She just loves it. She's thriving in there. She's so confident, and so is my son. And you see that the children from Montessori school usually are very, very confident and independent learners.
So tell me, why do you love Montessori? Well, first of all, do you love Montessori?
Yeah.
I want to make sure that you do. All right, and why do you love Montessori?
So, first of all, we get freedom. Freedom of what we wear, where we sit, who we sit with, what subject we pick. There's also different age groups. So each class has a group of 3 age groups. And I have a bigger group of friends. So I get to spend time with more friends than usual, because usually in some schools, I think, they only have 1 age group in it. Plus, the school starts from when you're a baby. So like if you're like 5 months, 4 months, whenever the parents want to start till you're 12. So I get to see my little brother every day.
You do. You actually started at Montessori at the age of 18 months. So Grace has been at Montessori from 18 months old, and she's moved all the way up, and now you're at the 9 to 12 group. So there's 0 to 3 years, and then there's the 3 to 6, and then there's 6 to 9, and then there's 9 to 12. So you're at the 9 to 12. So Grace, when you were at the 6 to 9, you were like the older group in that class. Now you're at 9 to 12. Well, actually, because you're 10, you moved up a bit. But when you were in the classes, working with the younger and the older, how did you get to work with them? Do you get to teach them as well, and do you get to learn from them?
Well, some kids miss their lesson somehow, or they're late to school, so people that have already had the lesson may teach them. Or if some kids are interested in another subject and the teacher's busy, maybe one of the children would teach them that subject. Or if you're stuck on something in a work, some younger or older, different kids, you can ask some kids to help you out if the teacher's not available.
And are there certain subjects where the teacher teaches you all in a group?
Yes.
Yeah. And what sort of subjects might be, for example?
Well, sometimes we have some history lessons where they tell us a story to make a project on. We all sit on a big mat because maybe they don't have enough time, or it's just a lesson for all of us. But sometimes they take lessons with all of us, but groups of maybe 3s, 4s, or 5s, but teach the same lesson.
Tell us about how you get to choose your own work and you get to plan your own work. This is what I really love about Montessori, is that the children get to plan. So it teaches them to self-learn, to self-research as well. The teachers are guidance. So tell us, what does your typical day look like? How do you start your day? How does the structure? Do you record things? How does the teacher know that you're doing all the work that you're supposed to be doing?
So basically, to answer your first question, at 8:15 to 8:45, the children are supposed to arrive at school then, or get to their class by then. If not, in the front desk, that's like a big room with a front desk, they'd sign a late note and then give it to the teachers, letting them know they were late and why. Then at 8:45, we'd have a group meeting, talk about what lessons are going to happen, and then at the end of that, before we go, he's gonna shout a name from each student in the class and be like, say he asked my name, be like, Grace, how are you going to start your day? Basically, you would either name depending on what he asked, you either name the first work you're gonna do or the 3 works you're going to do throughout the day. Then, basically, we go to work, but before we do every work, we have our diary. Basically, at the top of the diary, before group starts, we should have the date written in at the top of the diary and lines for where the time and what work we're doing go. So after group, what I just said before group, we'd put down the time of when we start, we'd put down what subject we're doing, and when we finish, we'd put down the time when we finish. Then any time before 11:45 or any time that ends before 11:45, you're allowed to have this thing called snack time. So there are 2 tables across the room. Sometimes people go straight after group to the snack table, and then everybody's like, I wanted the snack table. So everybody would bring their snack in to at some time before 11:45 have their snack. And usually the boys get it first. So all us girls are doing work, and then when it finally happens, somebody either takes it before us or we don't notice, and then we see them sit down on the snack table. Disappointment. Then some more work unless you did it just before 11:45. At 11:45, if my date's not wrong, either 11:30 or 11:45, I can't remember which one, we'd go out to the playground and, we'd tidy up in the classroom, or if we had like a short day or if we had a big activity after, we'd pack up. We go to the playground and play for half an hour, I think, 15 minutes, half an hour. Then we go for lunchtime for 15 minutes, half an hour, same time. I honestly can't remember the times after lockdown much. And then we do some more work depending if we have activities or not. Then we work, and then if it's a long day, probably everybody would go home at probably 4 the latest. If it's like some adults are a bit late to pick their children up, but usually we pack up at 3 o'clock and then everybody gets picked up from school at 3:15.
Very precise, 3:15. So Grace, how does the teacher know that you've completed all your work?
Well, basically we have these diaries, so it's just a normal notebook, but not the ones that flip up, the ones that flip sideways. And at the top, we'd have a line with a bit of the gap at the top to write the date, and we can everything about the date. Then we'd have 2 columns down the middle of the side that we write. One side is the start time, one side is the end time, and in the middle of that column we'd write what subject. So at 11:45, at the end of our tidying up, he would, Anthony, Lauren, or whatever class in, whatever class you're in, whatever your teacher with, they would check your diary to see what you've written, because what you'd write is the start time, what you did, end time, and all the works you did down the column. And they said if you don't have anything on it, that means you didn't do any work.
So then what happens? They have to...
Well, they either have to write it all again, or they tell the parent saying, I like this, I like this. Hello, is this blah blah blah's parents? Yes. I'm sorry to say, child has not done any work today. When he comes home, he has to explain why.
Is that what Anthony does?
That's what I remember.
Give an example of how you use materials to learn. For example, maths. What is the one thing that, I think the beads, is it the beads that you use?
Well, we have golden bead frames and different materials to help show you what you're doing in maths. Because sometimes in maths, some other teachers just tell you to write it down, right? And it doesn't help kids understand it because it's just like numbers written down.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
I'm sorry, it's kind of boring when you do it like that. So in Montessori, they have these materials that some of them kind of looks like a board game to me. A checkerboard, it's got these different squares, these little beads on a wire, which you use to, each bead represents one number. So when you put it on the checkerboard, there are these tiny squares that you put on the side showing the timesing by, how much you're timesing by. You put it down, and then if you wanted to minus something, you count in your head how to minus it. Then you'd take away that number and put out how much to minus, and then you add it all together, and the number. Different materials show you different ways to do times, tables, division, subtraction, multiplication, instead of just writing on a paper.
What? You have fun with maths?
Sometimes.
But you also learn how what I love about your school is that you also learn from a very young age how to present right? Because we have parents' nights where we come in and you sit there and you actually present to us a topic. Is that a topic that you choose, yeah?
Yeah, sometimes one of the topics don't actually have a material though. So when we do that, even the younger groups, like even Jack, I think when he moves up to the next class to 3 to 6, they have a parents' night. So even the little kids would show the parents what they've learned, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, so it teaches children at a very early age how to present, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
So Grace, what happens if you just want to focus on one particular subject? Because you can choose any topic that you want to work on, right?
Do you mean like all day?
Yeah, does the teacher allow you to do that? Or like what happens if
well-
someone wants to work on and they want to just keep working on that?
Well, depending on what subject it is, like SRA is like an
What's SRA?
You read like a tiny story in these like folders and you'd answer like English questions about how it's spelt, did this happen in the story and stuff like that. That only takes like, depending on which one it is, it either takes 3 minutes or about half an hour. You can't do the entire day unless you get interrupted a lot with other stuff. Depending on what work, like if it's a big project, you at least have to do something tiny else with your work. Or if it's like a really big project that you need to get done by the end of the day, yeah, of course, I think you're supposed to like do the whole day. But most of the time, we wouldn't have all day for one subject.
Okay, so the teacher will kind of help you, guide you as to what subjects you need to do or focus on. Yeah. Is that right? What's your favorite part of the day?
Playtime.
Of course, playtime, isn't it, for everyone? All right, I'm going to pause there for a second. I'm going to ask you this question. Oh, actually, Grace, what would you like to share with those or who are interested perhaps in joining Montessori but they're not quite sure yet? What would you say to them?
Well, I'd say it's a pretty good school because of the freedom, but parents, beware. Since your child will be wearing different clothes, you're going to do a lot of washing their clothes.
Parents, there is a solution to that. If the kids dirty their clothes, you can get them to wear it again and again in a few days, just like uniform, right?
Or just get your child to wash it.
Or get your child to buy a few of the same top, right? And then just alternate from there, isn't it? But it's beautiful because you are your unique person. Everyone is different, isn't it? Mm-hmm. And you get to wear whatever you want to, or wear. Well, not too outrageous, isn't it?
Kids, just saying, at the end of some terms or at the end of the year, there may be a special movie. Maybe.
Depends on which Montessori school you are at, actually, isn't it?
Well, thank you so much for watching, guys. Love to hear in the comments below if you found Montessori as a school very interesting or different to the schools that you have your children in. If you have any questions for Jacqui, love to hear in the comments below because she will answer it as well. Now, if you enjoyed this video and you'd like to learn more about how to raise young entrepreneurs, then check out the next video here.